There are a lot of different things that we have to get better at. I guess is the simplest way of answering that question. I think if you evaluate the game yesterday, there were some good things in the game. We ran the ball well in the game. We had explosive runs in the game. We ran for a good average throughout the game. I thought those were positives for us. We made some explosive plays offensively, but when you pull back and you look at the rest of it, it just wasn't good enough. There were some good protection plays in the game. Overall, we have to improve our protection. There were some good completions in the game. Overall, we have to improve our efficiency and our explosiveness in our passing game. I thought a big part of this game was third downs. Oftentimes, you'll hear me say third down's a reflection of first and second down. I think in some cases it was in this game. In other cases, it wasn't. We had manageable thirds. We had manageable thirds early on in this game that we didn't convert. Certainly, there were plays called for us to go down the field. There were options within pass plays where we threw the ball underneath that we could have gone vertically. Typically, you have a vertical route, you have an intermediate route, and you have a shorter route. That's not on every pass play, but on a lot of passing plays around the NFL, that's what you have. And whether it was winning on a route, coverage they played, protection, those are some of the reasons why we didn't get the ball vertically down the field. And we need to be able to do that. And when we do that and attack different ways, that's when we play our best offense. Does he look hesitant in general? No. I think you can look at certain plays and say, boy, that wasn't as clean as you want it to be. I think at times he's delivered the ball on time. Other times, for whatever reason, he hasn't. And again, we'll look at those individual plays and try to get them better. We haven't played well enough on offense, so everybody has to look at it. I think it would be false for me to say this is about play calling. This is about everything we're doing offensively. We have to do better. We have to coach better. We got to play better. We got to run it better. We got to throw it better. We got to protect better. We have to do all the things that good offenses do. We have to do all of those things better, and we're working hard to do that. Yeah, we're not going to go down that road right now. I have a lot of confidence in Scott Linehan. He's been an outstanding coordinator in this league for a long time. He's been an outstanding coordinator for us. He's been an outstanding play caller for us. And what we need to do is get better on offense. And we have to constantly look at ourselves as coaches first, about the positions we're putting our players in with our game plan and during the game. We have to look at how we're executing things. When we're doing it well, build on those things. When we're not doing it well, address those things. Practice them better and carry them to the game. And we just have to do it. And we'll work very hard this week to do that. Try to instill that in our players and hopefully play better this week against Detroit.
Hello, friends, and welcome into the Cowboys Report presented by Tavor. I am your host, Tom Downey, and you can follow me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney for more Cowboys coverage. We'll start things off with a quick little news item around the Cowboys, namely a roster move. And Datone Jones, well, he's going on IR. Had a hamstring issue that caused him to miss the first 2 games of the year, and now has another strain because he just can't seem to stay healthy. So he only played 5 snaps against the Seattle Seahawks. Maybe not the biggest loss, although I do like Datone Jones, but he's going to miss some time. Replacing Datone Jones is going to be another defensive tackle, one that I know some of you guys like. That is Caraun Reid. He is going to come onto the active roster and replace Jones. So here's a look now at kind of your new look defensive line for the Cowboys. Maybe not drastically new, but just a little bit new anyway. Daniel Ross is there. He's going to continue to play a role. Malik Collins currently banged up. So with Collins hurt, who's not going to go on IR, you had to make sure you had more depth at DT. With Datone Jones hurt again, Caraun Reid will take his place. Now, Reid did flash in the preseason, a former 5th-round pick as well. He's not going to, I don't think, suddenly be the next great defensive tackle for the Dallas Cowboys. But again, I'll make note of this too. Caraun Reid does come back for a game. Don't forget that David Irving is also slated to return after Week 4. So keep an eye on that. So the Cowboys reinforcements are coming for defensive tackle. All right, on to some Cowboys rumors. Is Scott Linehan still going to call the plays? Well, unfortunately, it does seem that way. 4 stars on this one. Jason Garrett again was asked and again said that, no, I'm gonna let Scott Linehan keep calling the plays. Quote, we're not going to go down that road. Jerry Jones said the exact same thing, to which I say, but why? Linehan should not be the offensive coordinator. Here's a look at where the Cowboys rank in some key offensive stats. Sacks allowed, 26th. Third down conversion percentage, 31st. Yards per game is 30th. Passing yards per game is 31st, and so is points per game. The reality of this Cowboys offense right now is that it's bad. It's actually one of the worst in the entire NFL. I put I guess the plurality of the blame, because there's a lot of it to go around, on Scott Linehan. So do you guys want Scott fired? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I'm typing in yes. I don't want Linehan as the OC. I think Jason Garrett should be the one calling the plays right now for the Dallas Cowboys. All right, folks, if you haven't already, please subscribe to our brand new Cowboys Report YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/Dallas Cowboys Report. All of our great Cowboys coverage all in one spot. Already passed the 3K mark, but 5K is the next one, so please subscribe, folks. All right, on to some more injury notes here. Is Sean Lee going to miss several weeks for the Cowboys? It's not quite set in stone yet, but I'm pretty sure the Cowboys are going to miss Sean Lee for a few weeks. I'm giving this one 3 stars because, well, is this surprising to anyone? Name a more iconic duo, as I tweeted out. Sean Lee and missing several weeks with a hamstring injury. The more things change, the more things seem to stay the same. So he's going to be out for at least a few weeks in all likelihood. Maybe he comes back sooner than that, but don't expect that to end up being the case. It's frustrating for the Cowboys because Jalen Smith is there at middle linebacker. And with Sean Lee out, you're going to see a lot more of Leighton Vander Esch. He's going to be the guy who comes in, especially on nickel packages. So in 3 down looks or 3 linebacker looks, this is what it looks like. Wilson, Smith, and Lee. You'll see some JML and some Joe Thomas as well. But in nickel packages, it's going to be mostly Jalen Smith and mostly Leighton Vander Esch. All right, speaking of one Sean Lee, is he gone after this year? The buzz has continued to pick up now. I'm actually going to go ahead and give this one 2 stars. I'll shout out Katie Drummond. He's been ahead of this for really, I think, quite some time overall. I will fight anyone who says otherwise, but Sean Lee remains one of the top players in the NFL at linebacker if you ignore the rushing the passer side of it. When healthy, there aren't many guys I would rather have out on the field than Sean Lee. He's just too good, too dynamic, and just too elite overall. He's one of the best linebackers out there. The issue is, the caveat has always been when healthy. Well, here's the issue. He's not healthy right now. And if that's the case and you're the Cowboys, maybe you do decide to move on from Sean Lee, which I would hate because I want him so badly as a linebackers coach, then defensive coordinator down the road. A $10 million plus a little bit of change cap hit next year, and the Cowboys can save $7 million by cutting Lee. Romo, DeMarco Murray, Des Bryant, they're all gone. I kind of think that Sean Lee is the next one up, so it'll stay in 2 stars now because it's just so far ahead. But if you made me pick one right now, I think I type in 1 for yes because I just don't know if you're going to see Sean Lee on the Cowboys in 2019, even though I love the guy. He's one of my favorite players right now on this Cowboys roster. Folks, today's show is brought to you by Tavour. You guys like beer, right? Who doesn't like beer? Well, sign up with Tavour for free to get alerted because they got all kinds of great new beer, okay? If you love beer, you're going to love Tavour. Craft beer from breweries all around the country. Use promo code CHATSPORTS at Tavour.com to get $10 off your first purchase. You guys will love it if you love beer. All right, back to some coaching staff talk here. Is Garrett going to get fired after this season? And I'm pretty sure this is going to be the case. I'm going to give this one 3 stars, even though it is still kind of early away. Every loss increases Garrett's hot seat status. He has tied himself to Scott Linehan, which I don't think was a very good bet. And by the way, the BETDSI odds, they actually kind of favor Garrett getting fired. We'll get to those here in a little bit. But first, I do want to know from you. Should the Cowboys fire Jason Garrett? Type F for fire, type K for keep. I am saying type fire at the end of the year because I think you have to keep him for the rest of the season. Because if you fire Garrett, that also means you're probably firing Scott Linehan. And if that's the case, who calls the plays? Kellen Moore? Sanjay Lal? Yeah, that's a bit of a concern there. So fire when the year's over, but I think for now, you're almost kind of stuck with him. All right, the odds here on if Garrett will be the Cowboys head coach in 2019, plus 135 and then minus 180 for no. Look, I'm typing in no. You can bet on these right now at chatsports.com/bet. I already put some money down. It's a no for me. Garrett is not going to be the Cowboys head coach when it comes to the start of the 2019 season. I'm typing in no. All right, so minus 180 odds there. There's your risk to win. It's a worthwhile bet. Garrett's not going to be the head coach because right now this Cowboys offense can't move the ball on almost anybody. I think it's a pretty safe bet, even though it's not quite set in stone. That's why it's only the 3 stars. All right, 2 more rumors to get into here. Could there be an Earl Thomas trade? And this one, it just never, ever seems to go away. And it won't go away until after the trade deadline. The one big note was that Earl Thomas said that the Cowboys coaches asked him if he was ready for the trade on Monday. And it's Tuesday now. So that doesn't make any sense. 1 star. I don't think this is going to happen. Cowboys offered a second-round pick for Thomas in trade talks with the Seattle Seahawks, and Seattle said no. And here's the thing. If you're the Seahawks and you're clearly feuding with Earl Thomas, why would you cave and give him what he wants? Doesn't make sense on that end. Seattle and Earl Thomas, as I've said before on NFL Daily, and I think on the Cowboys show too, they're like a married couple that is clearly headed for a divorce, but they're staying together for now because they want the kids, i.e. the team, to have success. That's what's going on here. Now, the Chiefs make more sense if they want to make a big splash, because if the Chiefs and the Cowboys or another team and the Cowboys offer the exact same deal, let's say it's a second-round pick or a third-round pick, well, then the Seahawks can take the other offer because they don't want to send ET to the Cowboys. Their asking price remains way too high. The Cowboys did want to restart trade talks, but as we'll get into here, I don't know if they still do. We'll explain that here in just a little bit, but let me know, folks, what would you trade for Earl Thomas? Let me know in the comment section. I've seen some buzz that you should give up a first-round pick. Absolutely not. And I'm still not. I think at this point, because you're not going to get him for about, a quarter of the year, I'm not trading my second-round pick either. All right, folks, as I've mentioned on other Cowboys Report show, I still have some Cowboys hats and T-shirts to give away. And then once we get to 20, we'll give away some Cowboys tickets to one of you guys as well. Now, these are set up through one of our sponsors, so you do have to get signed up with them. But if you want the details on how to get that Cowboys T-shirt or hat and get entered to a chance to win some tickets, DM me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney. I'll provide all the information that you guys need. All right, back to Earl Thomas then. Namely, do the Cowboys need Earl Thomas now because they're, 1-2 and the defense needs some boost and the offense is terrible? I'm going to give it one star. This comes to us from Blogging the Boys over at SB Nation. Yes, Earl Thomas would help the Cowboys win more games. But with Earl Thomas, who here thinks the Cowboys are a playoff team right now? My mindset as to wanting to do it was because I thought it would give the Cowboys the push they needed to go from 9-win team, 10-win team to 10-win team, 11-win team, 12-win team, and get into the playoffs for sure. But as of right now, I think even with Earl Thomas, I don't know if this team is good enough to make the postseason. So I've changed my tune. I now say pass on a trade, especially if Seattle still wants a second-round pick. It's probably better for the Cowboys' long-term success to pass on Earl Thomas, try and sign him in the offseason, and keep that second or third-round pick, keep that value there, because I just don't think Earl Thomas is enough to give this Cowboys team the push over the edge from not very good to potential playoff team, because the offense is the biggest problem. Cowboys did not look good in Week 3 of the NFL season against the Seattle Seahawks, so it's time to take a look at some winners and losers, with mostly losers from that bad effort. But we'll start with the winners and try and get some positivity here for the Cowboys, even though there wasn't a whole lot of it to go around. First up is Byron Jones, the most positive thing I saw coming out of that game. Look, the dude's been great. He's actually been graded as the #1 cornerback in the NFL by Pro Football Focus. He was targeted 7 times against the Seahawks, allowed 3 catches for 10 yards, and also broke up 2 passes. I wanted this to happen for a long time. I'm so glad Chris Richard felt the exact same way. Byron Jones is a good cornerback, and that's where he needs to play. So very happy with how Byron Jones has looked. And he, by the way, is your #1 cornerback for the Cowboys. No offense to Chidobe Awuzie. Byron's just a better player right now. All right, another winner. About Leighton Vander Esch. He was good with Sean Lee out. 11 tackles, 1 tackle for loss. LVE played very, very well against the Seahawks. And by the way, after 3 games, 2 of which have actually been pretty good for Vander Esch, back-to-back weeks on the winners list for me, can we chill a little bit on the LVE as a bust talk? I think he's a good player, and maybe he's not the elite linebacker. Maybe it would have been better to go receiver and then a linebacker later. But I don't think Vander Esch looks like a bust through 3 games. And frankly, he's been the best rookie so far for the Cowboys, which maybe makes sense because he was the first-round pick. But let me know if you're still hating on Vander Esch. Type S for stud and type B for bust. I've been pretty pleased with how well Vander Esch has played this season. Folks, today's show is brought to you by Tavour. You guys like beer, right? Of course you guys do, so you're going to love Tavour. Sign up with them to get alerts on all their different craft beers from breweries all over the country. They have a chocolate pumpkin stout right now that actually sounds really good to me, though I'm not much of a stout guy, but I do like pumpkin and chocolate, so got to try that one. Go to Tavour.com, sign up with promo code CHATSPORTS for $10 off your first delivery. If you love beer, you're going to love Tavour. All right, on to some more winners this week from the Cowboys. How about La'el Collins? Wasn't too pleased with how he fared in the first 2 weeks of the season, but he was much better in week 3. Now, there's still room to grow for Collins, and he did allow 2 hurries and had a penalty that was negated because the Cowboys got sacked on the play anyway. But I was pretty pleased with how Collins fared, and I think that's a big deal for the Cowboys. Frankly, he outplayed Tyron Smith, who we'll get to once we get to the losers category. But Collins goes down as a week 3 winner for me. Maybe it's a bit of a reach, as will these next, as the same will be true for these next 2 guys, but not exactly a whole lot of winners to go around this week for the Cowboys. And how about DeMarcus Lawrence? Half a sack and 3 hurries in week 3 is pretty good, and he was definitely a good player for the Cowboys, but I thought he would have been better because Jermaine Ifedi's bad at football. I'm kind of surprised Tank only had half a sack and 3 hurries. I thought he would have done a little bit more. I think that kind of sums up the Cowboys' defensive effort overall. It wasn't like a disaster, but it probably wasn't as good as it can or really needs to be. Speaking of Tank, how many sacks will he have this year? Let me know in the comments section. I think around 11 or 12 is really kind of an ideal guess for Tank Lawrence because you're not going to get a sack every game, even if you're Tank Lawrence. All right, another winner then about Brett Maher. I am officially moving him off of my probation list for now. And we'll see. And I'll continue to tweet out every time he makes a field goal, who needs Dan Bailey, and every time he misses one, bring back Dan Bailey because that's just funny. But he was good against Seattle, nailed a 50-yard field goal, so he's 2 of 2 this year on field goals, plus he has the extra point in that one, or excuse me, 3 of 4 on field goals this year, 2 of 2 against the Seahawks. He was good. A very good sign for the Cowboys because if Brett Maher sucked, oh my God, everything would have been a disaster. After missing that first field goal, he's bounced back quite nicely since then, so he's off my probation list. He's a week 3 winner, even though it's maybe a bit of a reach because the Cowboys were just so bad in week 2. To recap the winners, though, Byron Jones, Leighton Vander Esch, the clear-cut guys, and then maybe some lesser winners, La'el Collins, DeMarcus Lawrence, and Brett Maher. We'll move to the losers, but first, folks, please subscribe to our Cowboys Report YouTube channel if you haven't already. Go to youtube.com/Dallas Cowboys Report. All of our Cowboys coverage is in one spot right there. Already at the 3K subscribers mark, but we got to get to 5K. That's the next big number. Again, that's youtube.com/Dallas Cowboys Report. All right, on to the losers now, and there were a lot of them. We'll start from the, I guess, least losers all the way down to the I hate you right now. Chidobe Awuzie. Look, he wasn't like a disaster necessarily, but he had a down game. And it wasn't all of his fault because I don't blame him for the second touchdown that happened for the Cowboys. I'll get to the blame on that one in a minute. But he was targeted 6 times, 5 receptions for 69 yards, not nice, and 1 touchdown. Not exactly ideal by any means. It wasn't all his fault. I think there was some miscommunication between Cheeto and Xavier Woods on the first touchdown, but I'm pretty sure it was Awuzie's fault. So he gets a loser for week 3. He's been pretty good this year, and one of the catches he gave up was impossible to stop on that Brandon Marshall one, but he's still a week 3 loser for me. Also a loser, Kevon Frazier. Look, he's fine in run support, but as I've said from the beginning, if you put him in pass coverage, it's just not going to go well. And that Tyler Lockett touchdown catch, I'm blaming Frazier for. That was on him. All right, that was a horrendous angle. It was zone coverage. Frazier's got to stay back and make a play on the ball, or at least the man. Instead, he lets Lockett go into the end zone pretty much untouched. So 3 catches for 66 yards and a TD. Keep him in the box as a big nickel or as a strong safety. I just don't like him in coverage. All right, Sean Lee now, who when he was on the field was actually pretty good for the Cowboys, but he's always hurt. Stop getting hurt, Sean Lee. He's talented. He just cannot seem to stay healthy. He's going to miss a few weeks with a hamstring injury, and that's why he is a loser this week. It's so incredibly frustrating because I love Sean Lee, the player. He's an immensely talented guy, but he keeps finding ways to get hurt, and that's just unfortunate, and it's bad for him. At this point, he's never going to be a 16-game a season guy because he never has been. Why would he change in his 30s now? So, folks, question for you guys. How many games will Sean Lee play in this year? Let me know in the comments section. I'll put the over-under at 12. And actually, it's probably I'm going to put it at 10, actually. I'll put it at 10, basically asking if he'll get hurt again later this year. And frankly, I think the under is actually probably the better bet. All right, some week 3 losers going on. Stick with the defensive side of the ball here. Randy Gregory. Come on, Randy. Make a play for starters, and don't take a penalty before the half and give the Seahawks a field goal chance. That was stupid, and you know it. Penalty was inexcusable, and where's the impact been? He looked pretty darn good in the preseason. The hype train got out of control, and since then, Gregory's been hurt and, not impactful. He's got to get going as a passer because the Cowboys need another guy across from DeMarcus Lawrence. And right now, hasn't been Gregory. Taco's been okay, but you want it to be Gregory, right? That hasn't happened yet. All right, next up on the loser's side, Tyron Smith, who I'll kind of just put as slash the entire offensive line because it has not been good enough yet. Was better in week 2 and then, again, regressed in week 3 against, a better defensive line. But that should have been a matchup that favors the Cowboys. Instead, the opposite was true. Now, Smith didn't technically give up a sack because his guys didn't make it, but he got beat a lot by Frank Clark in particular. And I remember the one play where Frank Clark got a great snap and blew right by Tyron Smith. Didn't get the sack, but he forced Dak to run around and move the pocket, and then Michael Kendricks got him as well. So I was not pleased with Tyron Smith. I'm not panicking about him yet, but I am kind of getting a little twitchy and nervous because he hasn't been the Tyron Smith that we're used to seeing. All right, more offensive losers. Michael Gallup has just not been that good. He's dropped 2 passes this year and only has a handful of catches with 3 of them, I think on 7 targets to be total. Targeted 4 times. Dropped the pass that was picked off. And it reminded me of Des Bryant, and that's not good for Gallup because I think part of the reason why Dak has struggled is because I don't think the trust is there yet. He looks almost hesitant at times. If you're Dak, how do you trust Gallup right now? Because the last time you went to him, at least one of the last times, he dropped the pass that was picked off. That's not good for Gallup. So I've been very disappointed by how Gallup has fared. I think he'll bounce back down the road, but it's certainly not what the Cowboys wanted or needed through the first 2 weeks of the year with Michael Gallup, their 3rd-round pick, not really making much of an impact. All right, folks, I still have some Cowboys t-shirts and hats to give away. Once we get to 20 given away, we'll give out Cowboys tickets to one of you lucky guys who sign up with one of our sponsors. DM me on Twitter if you want the details on how to get that Cowboys t-shirt or hat and enter to win those tickets. Again, that's DM me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney. All right, some more losers. Some of, I think, really the biggest losers this week. Zeke Elliott. Look, the yards were good. 16 carries, 127. That's good in a nutshell. The issue is pretty much everything else. He had that brutal fumble that cannot happen and too many mistakes, all right? He was out of bounds, but when he caught a ball that went for a touchdown, that got called back because he'd stepped out. Got to have that situation where it's had a bad drop as well on a 3rd down. So Zeke, and I give him credit, took the blame even though it really wasn't mainly his fault, but Zeke has to be better because the reality is the Cowboys aren't going to win games if Zeke has his C or B- game like I think he did against the Seahawks. They need Zeke and the offensive line to be on their A game. And so far, that has not happened yet this year. They're lucky, frankly, to be 1-2 given that that's the case. So Zeke, great player still. Not going to panic about him, but he's a loser because he has to do better. Also a no-brainer loser, right? Look, it's Dak Prescott. It's not all of his fault. One of those interceptions was definitely not his fault. The other one was kind of more of a 50-50, but I can still kind of assign some blame to Dak Prescott. But here's the deal. If the offensive line is iffy and the defense gives up some points, your quarterback has to be able to make plays. And Dak hasn't done that yet this season. That's a big red flag for the Cowboys and for Prescott because they need him to be better than what he's been in the first 3 weeks of the season. Now, it's not all of his fault. I put a lot of the blame on the offense and the guys around Dak because he's never going to be a Aaron Rodgers type, Wilson type guy. He has to have good pieces around him, and it's not really the case right now. But that brings up the question, is Dak the Cowboys franchise quarterback? I still lean toward yes because I think you can win with him. But I've never been less confident in Dak Prescott than I am right now through 3 weeks of the 2018 NFL season. What I am confident in is how comfortable this shirt is. Get your own Mizzen and Main shirt today at comfortable.af. They're made in America, and trust me, you will not have a more comfortable shirt, dress or otherwise, than a Mizzen and Main shirt. All right, on to the 2 biggest losers this week. I think you guys know who they are. First up, Jason Garrett. Now, Garrett's not the GM, but all the roster moves that happened this offseason, Des Bryant, Dan Bailey, the draft, Garrett played a role in those. All right, he was in the hot seat entering this year, and Garrett had input, and it made a big difference in what the Cowboys did because I think the Cowboys front office was like, all right, Garrett, this is your chance. You're going to have a lot of input, and we'll let you make some decisions here. And the worst part of this Cowboys offense, frankly, is that they wanted this. They wanted to have no guys beyond Zeke that the defense has feared, and it's shown in the way teams have covered the Cowboys. Now, I think at the end of the year you do fire Garrett, but as I said yesterday, doesn't make a whole lot of sense to fire him right now because you're going to fire Scott too, and then, oh my God, it's Kellen Moore, Sanjay all calling the plays. I want Garrett to be the play caller and go down sinking with the ship if that's how he wants to go down, rather than tying himself to Linehan. But as for Garrett's future, look, it's not great. All right, the BETDSI odds make it very clear that they don't think Garrett's going to be the head coach in 2019. I agree. I already put money down on this. It's a no-brainer for me. Garrett's not going to be your head coach in 2019. He's just not going to hang around. The risk to win is worth it to me. You see it right there on your screen. Put down $10. You'll still win some money for what I think is pretty close to a safe bet. Again, that's chatsports.com/bet. Promo code Cowboys120 gets you that 120% deposit bonus. But I don't have much faith in Garrett because Garrett has so much faith in the biggest loser this week, Scott Linehan. He's bad. He is a bad coordinator. And you know what bothers me the most about what Linehan did? It wasn't the lack of deep balls downfield, because they did call some plays, but Dak didn't pull the trigger. It's partially the having no idea to use the personnel, how to use it properly. It was the first damn play of the game. Linehan comes out in a 3 tight end set. That's just stubbornness and stupidity. Why are you putting 3 tight ends on the field if you're the Dallas Cowboys? What are you trying to prove? That I'm so smart, I've heard all the buzz about having too many tight ends, so I'm going to do it anyway? Come on, Scott. That's a giant middle finger to any rational Cowboys fan. Stop using 3 tight end sets and go back to the quarterback runs. It worked in week 2, the RPOs, the package plays, the read options. Where were those in the first half of the game, the first 3 quarters of the game? Use those plays, Scott. Don't try and be stubborn and prove otherwise, because right now, you see the offensive stats right there? This offense sucks. It's a bad offense, and it's not just Scott's fault. It's Dak and the receivers and the tight ends and Zeke and the offensive line. But I'm putting the majority of the blame right now on Linehan, because he ain't getting the job done. He should be fired. You can't have this offense be bottom 2 in almost every major stat. Get rid of Linehan. Have Jason Garrett, the once widely proclaimed offensive genius as the OC, have him call the plays. Because if Garrett sticks with Scott, they're both going to go down at the end of the year, because Linehan is not doing a good enough job with both the personnel, the play calling, and the overall game plan. It's just not good enough. All right, we'll recap those losers for you guys here if you missed it. Cheeto, Kevon Frazier, Sean Lee, Randy Gregory, Tyron Smith in there as well. And then the big guys, look at all those guys on offense. Go figure, right? Michael Gallup had the drop that was intercepted. Zeke wasn't good enough. Dak was nowhere near good enough. Jason Garrett gets all the win because he's the head coach. And Linehan has got to go. I think it's time to fire him. I'm sure I already see it in the comment section. I'm sure many of you guys do as well. All right, folks, we'll be back on Thursday. Give me your questions for our upcoming mailbag. I think we need them right now. I already got a couple, but tweet them to me at @whatgoingdown here. Get them in the comment section as well. And we'll see you guys on Thursday for next Cowboys Report.